Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. Thank you for coming out tonight. As always, I want to thank you, Miss Carrie and Miss Cosplay, my mods. Appreciate you coming out and supporting me always. And as more people will come in tonight, we will of course say hello to them and thank them. Miss Carrie, thank you very much. Always, please remember to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell. That way you get notified when I go live. My channel will never be monetized, no matter how many people I get, have people subscribe to me. I will never hit that monetization. I believe that it keeps everything to be honest, that I'm not here to make money off of a missing child. We do talk about missing children 99% of the time on my channel. It's not appropriate, in my opinion, to make money off of a missing child. Tonight, we are going to have a little bit of a different format. I was going to do this differently in the news in the past 24 hours. I believe that this is a great way to have my live tonight. First and foremost, before I go any further, just making sure make sure everybody can hear me. Do I sound good tonight? Everybody hear me crystal clear? If I need to turn up my mic or anything like that, let me know. Great. Thank you very much, Carrie and Cosplay. I appreciate that. So I originally posted this live just to say that we're going to talk about Summer Wells and Dylan Rounds. And I am not accustomed to talking about drama. I am not accustomed to stirring drama. Hello, Katie Kitty. How are you doing tonight? But something happened in the past 24 hours that I feel like will need to be addressed. That's why, if you notice, I made a change of the description of this at the last few minutes. Please do not take this as a personal attack on anybody. It is not intended to be a personal attack. I want to have an open conversation with this person that this happened with, get this hashed out so they understand what I was upset about. Hello, Butterfly Kisses. Thank you very much. Carrie, thank you very much. The discussion is opinionated, allegedly, and for entertainment purposes only. Carrie, that is so appropriate because where I'm going to start with tonight is Dylan Rounds. Dylan Rounds, suspected murderer. Honeybee, Honeycomb, Hideout, thank you for coming out tonight. His suspected killer has been officially charged. The details are not as crystal clear as I'm drawing a mental blank of his name, but Idaho 4. I like to keep focus on the victims anyway, so Idaho 4 is good enough. Where they had so much overwhelming detail that they went and showed basically in their affidavit that it was nothing but and could not have been anybody but Brian. Thank you, Carrie. It could only have been him. All the evidence points to him. If you didn't hear that Brenner was officially charged with Dylan Rounds' murder, and they did get first degree, as well as an additional charge, which I'm not going to go too much into that additional charge because I don't think terms of service for YouTube will actually appreciate that. But in the affidavit for the charges, it spells out that DNA, the pair of boots that was hidden behind a pile of dirt, The DNA found on those boots were James Round. I'm sorry, Dylan Round and James Brenner, as well as there was a phone that did time lapse photography. Who said what? Thank you very much. The time lapse photography showed there was blood on the arms and part of the torso of the shirt that Brenner was wearing while he was cleaning out a weapon. The DNA also matched what was on the boot, from my understanding of reading of what was on that, or seeing of what was on that affidavit. There's not a lot of details on there, and there's not going to be a lot of details on there because of the mistakes that the Box Elder Police Department, and yes, they did make mistakes in this from the get-go. They did not actively pursue this and investigate this as quickly as people had thought, or that Dylan had deserved. In the reason that I'm bringing this up is yesterday, I don't know if anybody had seen or not, I made a community post. I do have a community post ability now, where I put the story from East Idaho News where Brenner had been charged. But I also put the video that I had done approximately 8 months ago on there. Now, I'm not expecting anybody to go and watch that video. It's 8 months old. Don't think I had so anything for my own personal ability to quickly find that video and recap when we take a look at what I had said, because I only did one video on him, on Dylan, and it was what my intuition was telling me. And I'm not going to sit here and brag. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I knew it all along or anything like that, because I actually gave you two possible suspects in there. Not by name, but I did say that the person living on his property was a suspect and was trying to tell him how to use his ground. And I said I believed that he, the one that was living on his ground over the other person I had named, was more likely to be the suspect. And look who was charged. Again, not patting my back, not bragging. But when I come out and say things like that, or coming out of what seemed like coming out of left field, I have a reason, folks. Pay attention when I start saying things like that. When I start saying things like that don't make sense at the time. That's all I'm saying about that. But it is amazing, and it's good, and it's great, and it's good for Candace. Remember, Dylan's mom, his name is Candace, no relation to the Wells whatsoever. It's great for her and her husband to finally know. Granted, they still don't know where the body for Dylan is. And I personally, from the charges that I saw, I don't believe he will ever have that kind of closure. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you for coming out. But it's great for them to finally know who is responsible for their son's demise. If you want to go and see more information on what I did say about Dylan, please, like I said, it's on my community page. Later, you're welcome to go and check that out and to see the video. what I really wanted to come on here tonight was to focus on Summer Wells again and to focus on what Don Wells has said. Not only what he has said, but his actions. Um, on my last video I had done, and I want to thank everybody. Guys, thank you so much. In a week's time, I only have had 211 subscribers, and I've grown to 237. And that video I did last week, I'm still in awe of the number of people that sat down, took the time to watch my video. It's amazing to me that you all found what I had to say credible and worthy of listening to. I had said last week, and I detailed last week, that I don't believe that Don Wells was actually at the Meadows for work that day. And that I believe that he was there for half the day or a part of the day, and then he left. And on his way home, that he was actually went to his boss's house. And I showed where that was, where the office is, the boss's house. And I detailed the path that most likely he would have taken home. The amount of time that he said, Don Wells said about the 15th, that it took him to come home, the route from his boss's house to his home fits perfectly. No other way does it feel so well. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. No other way does his route fit so well as what I had shown. It fits within the time frame that he said it took home to get home within 5 minutes time. One way or the other, 5 minutes time. Where the other ways were at least 10 minutes off. And the fact that he could not have possibly seen where the boys were, no matter which way he took, if he had taken a back road over the mountain and on to Ben Hill Road, or if he went all the way around the mountain and up on 347 Beach Creek Road that way, coming down towards the house, their property, he could not have seen that lower shed or that area where the boys were supposed to have been. Butterfly Kisses, who do you mean by RL? I'm not familiar with the initials. Is that, I'll just give the first name Robin. Lawson. Thank you. Thank you. That his name I don't mind being full name in the chat. Okay, so Ronnie Lawson, that's fine. You're right. I do not believe he was. I do not believe if he was at work, it was only for a half of day. Okay, the morning part. I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm not sure he said. I'm not sure it was. I'm not so sure he directly said that. Carrie's right here. I think Carrie's right here. The when did he say that? When she's asking when he said that, I don't believe he directly said that. But I still believe that he was at work for half a day. Thank you very much, M. Dejan. Thank you for coming out tonight as well. From what my memory recalls, and from things that I heard from around Kingsport, remember, folks, I am a local. I live near Kingsport. On that day and any other day that he took that Subaru, despite what he wants you to believe, and yes, I do mean Don Wells, despite what Don Wells has tried to lay out there for everybody to believe, that he just randomly decided to take the Subaru because it was sitting in the driveway and he's paying on it and it was doing him no good by just sitting in the driveway. Keep hold of that memory. Keep hold of that phrase. Something just hit me in my head that I didn't put two and two together before. We're going to get into it in just a second. I don't think anybody else has linked this together before either. Wow. Okay. Going to finish the point with the cart real quick. And then we're going to come back to that. On the day that Don Wells wants you to believe that he randomly chose to take the Subaru and throw his tools into the Subaru and take it to the meadows, it was not the first time. I've always said that this from the get-go. It was not the first time that he took that Subaru to work. It usually meant when he took that Subaru to work that, first of all, he was not dressed his normal work clothes, that he was expecting to get nasty dirty from spackling, getting slung around and things like that. He was not expecting to get dirty, to stay dirty long. He was there for a half a day. He had planned to go to Knoxville. I've made this point before in the videos, but I think it's a really huge point that it needs to be heard again. When Don Wells took the Subaru to work, it always meant he was going to work a half of a day, and the rest of the day he was making a trip to Knoxville. He wore better than normal clothes than he would work when he was slinging mud. When he went to Knoxville, he was feeding his addiction. That's what he was doing that day. It wasn't the first time that he took that red Subaru to work. I've heard it was up to at least probably a half dozen, maybe as many as 9 different times since they had that Subaru that he would go to work in that Subaru. And when he had done so, it was the same exact pattern. Work a half a day, be dressed nicer than his normal work clothes, and take off and go to Knoxville. Go feed his addiction. So when he was at his boss's house or over in that general area, and he got the phone call saying Got a problem. Summer's missing. Kiko, I am not telling you secondhand gossip. I am not telling you secondhand gossip. I am telling you what from what I have gathered as being a local. The trips to Knoxville were legitimate and are legitimate. He had probably when he went into jail, he did dry out. I'm not going to discredit that, but I'm going to say prior to going to jail, he had a issue with substance. And after Summer Wells had gone missing, we all saw the degradation, the downfall that he was going through, that he was getting worse. He was degrading into his addiction worse and worse and worse. So as he went through jail and he's come out of jail, dried out some, because I don't believe he's completely quit his addiction. At the time Summer went missing, his intentions was to go to going to Knoxville to get his fix. When he got that phone call and had to turn around or head back home, he called 911. His point of calling 911 was not to say, "Oh, I'm on my way to my house. My wife just called me, my kid's missing." It was at that point that they would know where he was at the time of the call. This is why when Don Wells talks about, and I'm referring to the lab, and that he said, told Josh at the lab that he had 7 alibis. But when the lab sat down and they listed the 3 that he actually had, he never mentioned the GPS from the car. No, I did not say he was 5 minutes from home at his boss's house. I said the trip that he took was within 5 minutes, either way, of what Don Wells said that he took to get home on June 15th. Kiko, I'll challenge you on that in a heartbeat, because on the 15th, Don was not at home, was not at work. He was technically at work because he was at his boss's house, but he was not at the job site where he worked. This is common sense. When you really get this and really it clicks in, you're gonna go. You will realize if you put put thought into this, this makes the most sense. I'm the believer in Occam's razor. The most simplest explanation is the correct explanation of a series of events that happened. Any and all paths that Don Wells could have taken, whether it was going up Tennessee 81, I-81, or going into Johnson City to catch I-26. And when I say I-80, Tennessee 81, I mean both paths of whether it be from the Meadows or it be from where Tucker Drywall was based out, where the office was. Leaving from Tucker Drywall, paralleling Tennessee 81, getting up to Horton Highway, and getting over to Chimney Top Loop. And how the connection between all of the hollers over there are, and that you can get from Chimney Top Loop over the mountain and onto Ben Hill Road. It's the only way that makes sense. Cosplay has it right. LE is not going to tell you everything. Only bare minimum when trying to solve a case. They actually, by the Supreme Court, are allowed to lie to the suspect, to the public. They do not have accountability of telling everybody the truth until they have to present paperwork to the prosecutor, or in this case, I believe that it's going to be the DA, the state's DA, when charges finally do happen. It has to go through them. That is the moment that they have to tell the truth. But in no other incident do they have to tell the truth. This business about the detective for Hawkins County or Rogersville saying that they haven't taken the kidnapping off the table. Kidnapping is not off the table, but you turn around and listen to what John, in my last live I exposed from what Josh from the lab had put out there. TBI was questioning Don and Candace Wells about an accident that happened to Summer that they covered up. That right there tells you anything else you're hearing is to appease the Wells and see how far they will go with their story. What information will they put out there about Summer Wells being kidnapped? Kiko, thank you. Please do not accuse another creator of such things. Especially when he had it on a recording and played the recording of Don Wells saying it himself. Kiko, I don't know what channel you've come from or what you heard or what you haven't heard. What I will ask you to do is keep an open mind to what I'm saying, because in the end, the Wells are going to be held accountable for what they did or what they were part of causing, or a participation in Summer's disappearance. What the Wells continue to put out there and want people to believe, let's put it this way. Let me put it this way. Do you know why I'm so vehemently saying that Daisy over on Crazy Crime and Critters channel is is Voices Behind the Wall 2.0? Do you know why I'm so vehemently as I consistently say that's exactly what she's doing? Do you understand that one? And I'm not trying to be a smart ass or think you're any less intelligent than I am, but I want to make sure that you understand that point because there's a huge point in there. Miss Justice, I saw you sneak in the back door. I didn't say hello, but thank you very much for coming out. Kiko, are you still with us? Because you're welcome to have a different opinion. We're going to. I'd love to talk about it. I'm not upset that you have a different opinion. Nobody's doing anything to you about having this different opinion. Having a different opinion and having an adult conversation only expands what everybody thinks. And when you think about things in not only a grander picture, but you put it's like a puzzle. You can't see the big picture until you got all the pieces in the right place. Laurie P, we're not attacking Daisy. In no way am I attacking Daisy. Laurie P, I am not bashing Daisy. I'm making a point. If you bear with me a moment, you'll understand my point. Kiko, I guess Kiko left. That's fine. Laurie P. The point of this is exactly what Miss Just said. The Wells are not good people. The problem I have, and again, this is not an attack on Daisy or her channel. I have no interest in attacking her channel. I'm simply saying that we have seen this happen, what Don Wells is doing already. With what had happened on Voices Behind the Wall. The end result was as the same thing is going to be when he is finished and tired of speaking to the Daisy's channel. He's going to use them up for everything there is that he possibly can drain of them. Okay? And then he's going to turn around and turn his back. And he's going to turn around and attack them. And I don't want to see that happen to any creator, no matter if I agree with their tactics or not. Don Wells is a bad person. They keep saying that they look into his eyes and they see the good in him. A lot of people that in quiet, small circles, and I'm going to put this out there, I am one of them, that refers to Don Wells as Don the Con. He's a con artist. If you listen to what his own family says, the ones that are telling the truth and not putting out a cover story, the only times that Don Wells goes to religion is when he's in trouble. Dystar, thank you for coming out. So what is happening over on her channel? And again, I'm not attacking. I'm making a point. And if you really think about these points, they do make sense and they are what is correct. Don Wells is a common denominator. As somebody in the chat was saying, who is the common denominator? Don Wells is the common denominator. Every single person that has gone up there, and either by being able to be up there and around him and end up having to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. And this is exactly why I will never have the Wells on my channel, even though I will talk about Summer Wells. I want to make this very clear. People that speak to Don Wells get used. He sets terms that are not feasibly done. If you go on his property, you have to sign an NDA not to talk about Summer or the things that you see on that property. Why? What are they truly hiding? What are they truly hiding? What are the Wells hiding? What are they trying to sit there and cover up and to sit there and say, in the way the Wizard of Oz did it, ignore that man behind the curtain. That man behind the curtain is not important, but that man behind the curtain is the key to everything. Without that man behind the curtain, Dorothy would never have gone back to Kansas or realized that she had the solution the whole time. Again, like I said, I am not attacking another creator. Yes, I do have an issue with something that happened last night on that creator's live, and I did ask them, or I did through my description, try to tag them see if they would come on and we can talk about what happened last night, because I think it's a very correctable thing. But I want to make sure I do so in a respectful and public manner, because it didn't involve just me. Again, I'm not attacking another creator. I don't want to see what happened to what happened to the voices behind the wall happen to them. But it's going down that path. All the other creators that have spent time in the Tri-Cities, whether it be for Kiko, listen to my point, what I'm just saying right now. For all the creators that did spend time in the Tri-Cities and had the memorials, had the services that they did, the parks have already said they are not going to go ahead and issue permits again for them. In all honesty, as a local, I can tell you that the Tri-Cities area, the parks, they did not want the attention of being associated with any memorial service or anything like that, other than Robin Lane. But if you're going to do for one, you have to do for others. This is why you're hearing out there on YouTube right now that there won't be a memorial this upcoming summer on June 15th. Here it is right here. Tri-Cities cities, Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City, love privacy. There was so much going on before with drama and commotion and rumors of problems that were going to be happening. Since the permits had been already issued for this past June, they couldn't reject them. The state could not reject them. But they could make it be that they would not be able to get another permit. Dysar, thank you very much. Says who said what? Agree with you 100%. Let's see what who said what? What did you say here? My opinions are my own and not a reflection of anyone else's unless you see them agree with me. That's very well said. Very well said. I like that. You know, I don't get a lot of attention on YouTube like some of the other channels, and I'm not out here to get that kind of attention. If I end up getting that kind of attention, I will still be as humble as I am. I'm not going to be like some of these other channels. I'm still only going to post 2, maybe 3 times a week at most. My goodness, we've gone a week and I hadn't said anything. Exactly, Carrie. We welcome all opinions, but don't think that that opinion isn't going to come back with a conversation, or we're going to come back and not argumentatively, but we're going to have a conversation about it. I'm going to give you the perspective of somebody that lives in the Tri-Cities. I am not from this area, as in born in this area, but I live just outside of Kingsport. Hello, Crime Lines and Lies. How are you? Nice to see you. The thing about June 15th and Don Wells, and this is what I want everybody to focus on, really seriously focus on. We got down a rabbit trail, and I understand why we got down a rabbit trail, but we need to bring this back to being Summer Wells and about Don Wells and about Candace Wells. Whether you like what I'm saying or not, it's not rumor. Don Wells frequently took trips to Knoxville, not with his family. It was by himself. And when he did, he was going to feed his addiction. He did not take the trucks. He took the Subaru. After I took my hiatus because of work reasons, and I've come back to being on YouTube a couple months ago. It was just recently, few weeks, a month ago or so. I had made the decision we're really going to deep dive into what Don Wells says, what Don Wells does. because breaking and understanding what Don Wells did is just as important as understanding what everybody else is focusing on right now, which is Candace. And I believe justifiably so. Focus on Candace. But you still have got to focus on Don Wells' actions. Because what he has done when he's gotten up behind the microphone in press conferences and in uh, what he's posted on YouTube has all been singularly focused on covering up what happened. Kiko, yes. I'm telling you, the purpose of him and every single time that he took the Subaru when he went to work was that he was not going to be at work the full day and he was going to go feed his addiction. Don't lose sight of that. He is an addict. I personally have had issues with drinking. There used to be another person in here that we would come together and we would talk about, we would just every single time went live, we would remind each other to take it day by day. When you recover from an addiction, it's day by day. Okay. And we would always check in with each other and say, how you doing today? Remind each other to take it day by day. Sorry, I had a little distraction. There's dogs barking outside. If you do not remind yourself to take it day by day, Daystar, you exactly just nailed, or Dystar, I apologize if I mispronounced your name. You just nailed exactly what I was saying. He was an addict of several vices. Those vices are what controls you. Until you put yourself onto the path of recovery, those vices will always control you. They are what dictates your life. That is why he had that red Subaru on the 15th. Sure, we'll agree with that one. Who said what? We're just gonna keep right on moving. Great, thank you. I appreciate that, Dystar. Who said what? I don't remember either. The only thing I remember is that they carpooled together on the 14th and that he landed up firing him on the 14th. As we all know, Carrie Lawson, one of my mods, knows information about this better than I do. And Crime Lines and Lies, if you're in here, please chime in if you know that. We all know that Brooks is a very popular creator. So if you know an answer to that, please go ahead and chime in. In fact, we're going to go ahead and do this right now. I was planning on doing this a little bit later, but I'll go ahead and throw this in there now. This I'm putting a link in the chat. Please, folks, it is for limited use of persons that I know are um, have a purpose for it. Just understand it, right now it's limited use. If by any chance later on somebody else does show up and want to come up and talk with me, they're more than welcome to. I will be the first person to tell you that, as well as the information I know, when it comes to my mods, Carrie knows details that I forget better than I can remember. So if I say pause and say, "Hey, Carrie, do you have an answer for that?" It's going to be a good answer, a really good answer. Crime Lines and Lies, if you're here, you're welcome to take that link as well. Anytime if you wish to come up and talk. Marion, hello. How are you doing this evening? Thank you for joining me. The average unsuspecting Joe or Jane cannot understand addiction behaviors on the daily. There's micro actions and their purposes. For example, taking the Subaru. Yes, Dystar. Right, exactly. He blames it on the fact that the vehicle was just sitting there, not being used, costing him money instead of making him money. And that is what his excuse was for taking the Subaru. Marion. Hi, everyone. So did Don take Summer to Knoxville? He carried her out of the house. No. This is one of the rare moments that I believe Don Wells is actually telling the truth, folks. He sat there and said he woke up in the morning and had to move Summer from beneath him in order to get up and get dressed and ready for work. It's one of those rare moments that when you hear somebody speak, the cadence, the words, the phrasing is natural. As if this was a routine thing that happened a daily basis. It's not practiced, memorized, or thought, had to force the thought of. So, Marion, that's actually a really good question. Thank you for asking that. It was routine for Don Wells to wake up in the mornings and have to move Summer so he can get out of bed. Summer Wells slept in bed with Don and Candace. His exact wording was that he had to move her leg from under him. I'm not going to dwell on the connotations that would bring, but folks, you're welcome to draw your own idea of what that actually would mean. But that is where or why I believe that Don Wells was telling the truth for that moment, that description of the day. The problem with still that remains with what Don Wells did on the 15th was a phone call that he made that's believed to be on the 15th. When Don Wells called Candace and said there was a strange man on the hill trying to touch kids, this is purely my opinion, folks. The hill wasn't their property. The hill was Ben Hill. It was on the road. We've talked about how the movie The Hills Have Eyes applies perfectly to Ben Hill Road. If you're a stranger and not known to be on the hill, not to belong there, the neighbors know it. Don Wells had frequently or routinely from where he worked go home for lunch and sometimes take up to a 2-hour lunch. So he could have been, again, my opinion, he could have been at home during the mid of the day and seen somebody on Ben Hill Road that doesn't belong there. Marion, that is actually no matter what we say, no matter what we theorize, no matter what we believe, this is the most important thing of all. Marion, you got it right. No matter how many different things we throw out there and say, as creators, and I do include myself, even though I more so say I am a local. We all can summarize. We can all sit there and look and realize what 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, and so many times I don't even care to count what it all adds up to being. We can have our opinions about it. What matters is that at the end of the day, at the end of my stream, that the 3 boys are still in state custody and Summer is still missing. Sorry, folks, going to take a quick drink of water. Carrie just beat me to what I was going to say. Miss Justice, it's a great question. Why buy an expensive vehicle and not use it? They did use that vehicle. It was for things like we're going to go take a trip down to Gatlinburg, or take a trip down to Dolly Parton's theme park, so they can put the most amount of people in a vehicle and it be cheap on gas. True crime and other stuff. Thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate it. So they did use that vehicle, other than for what I'm saying, telling you that I've been told that Don Wells used it for. Even though it's a small vehicle, this vehicle was supposed to be the family daily driver. Baby Diamond, it was never meant to hold the whole family. It was never meant to hold the whole family. Their intentions when taking this vehicle out was not that the whole family was going to go with them. Summer Wells was always an afterthought. Look at every single time they spoke and how they spoke in the press, on YouTube, to Chris McDonough, even though some people do not like what he did. Summer Wells was always an afterthought. Candace Wells, on the day that when she described what happened when they returned to the property, she went inside, got the boys to help with groceries, and then had to open the door and say, "Oh yeah, and Summer too." But she had to pinpoint that she opened the door of the vehicle for Summer. There's a difference between what I was saying a few moments ago about Don Wells and it being a natural thought, natural progression, natural statement. And then we have Candace Wells, who had to pause and say, "Oh, and Summer too." Back before I got on the rabbit trail that we went down a few moments ago, Bailey, I did not even read your comment, and I was already headed back to it. I was saying, Don Wills had said something. You're gonna have to forgive me for a second. I got to rethink what it was because it slipped my mind. Candace Wells also said the same thing, but she phrased it differently. Hmm. Forgive me for a second. I'm so sorry, folks. I'm drawing a complete mental blank here, but I'm sure. Bear with me just a moment. I don't remember exactly the phrasing of it, and y'all have to forgive me for that one. It's a phrase that Don Wells and Candace Wells are repeatedly saying, and I don't believe anybody has ever really paid attention that they're both saying the same thing. Ah, Baby Diamond, it was never ever meant for the whole entire family to be able to go out at the same time. Never ever meant for the family to go out at the same time. There was always going to be somebody left behind, a limited number of people that can go out with that vehicle. Carrie, I've kind of gotten past that point, and I'm drawing a mental blank on it because I don't have anything written down on this. Um, I really wish I could remember that because I think it was actually interesting. Um, Forgive me, folks. I apologize. I'm trying to recall what that phrase was that I was coming up with. Okay, so I actually am taking a moment here, folks. I apologize. I'm going. Okay, so I was talking about the Subaru. The phrase that I was saying was so important that I don't think people realize it. And hello, Janice. I did see you sneak in here. I want to thank you for joining us. Um, is that both Candace and Don Wells were saying that it was doing them no good. As in, both of them at different times throughout the whole entire summer Wells thing had been saying, whether referring to objects surrounding the Summer Wells missing, Don Wells said about the Subaru, it was costing him money. It was doing him no good for the Subaru just to be sitting on the property not being used. Candace Wells repeatedly throughout the whole thing, to avoid answering any questions or talking about this, would say it's doing her no good. When Candace did talk about it, it was referring to both. Apologize. She would not comment on the reward fine, or she would try to avoid answering anything about any sort of emotional state that she was in, because she would always say it was doing her no good. It would do her no good. I don't think I'm reaching when I say that a phrase like that isn't coincidental. Well, hey, who said what? You're so very close on what the phrase that I said would have to come back to. They're both sitting there blaming or saying, basically, by saying that it's doing them no good. Now that I think back on it and think how it was being used, they were inferring that this detail, this information that people wanted to focus on, was irrelevant. They couldn't profit off of it. Don Wells not using that vehicle and it costing them money by not using it, being the Subaru. Candace focusing on her emotional state, or the reward fund, and how that was money sitting out there that they had tried to say that it should be coming to them. Hello, Kiki's Eyes. Thank you for joining. That's the phrase that all of a sudden just stuck out to me tonight. In the back of my mind, I had always known Candace was saying it when she was talking about like her emotions or making reference. I believe it was her mainly that was making. No, wait, it was Don. I'll correct that myself. It was Don Wells that would more or less make the references to the reward fund, saying that he thought the money should come to them. But he also said it. He said about the Subaru, it was doing them no good. I'm going to be looking into that more now to see when also if there's any other references that you would use that phrase about it being doing them no good. Hmm. Who said what? I'll have to look into that. I had not heard that. Oh, Kiki's Eyes, please call me RJ. You don't have to call me Conversations. Call me RJ. It's fine. Conversations Living Room is just the title of the channel. I'm RJ. I don't believe that's the only use of that phrase they've been saying, and it just has gone unnoticed, or at least I hadn't noticed before. Bailey, that was what I was saying about the person that I don't believe was necessarily on the hill on their property, but it was the strange person on Ben Hill Road that he was insinuating was going around trying to touch kids. And I do agree with you. I believe the boys did see something or they do know something. And putting them in foster care like they had to you don't have to apologize for that, Kiki's eyes. It's fine. I'm just saying we're not that formal around here, and you're fine with calling me just RJ. Don Wells was saying about the person being on Ben Hill. I believe the hill being just a short way of saying Ben Hill Road. The amount of time that person was there, I believe the neighbors actually would have chased him away, that person away. True crime and other stuff. I'll come back to that in a moment. I'm pretty sure that Don Wells actually knew the person. This is my opinion. Just saying, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure Don Wells knew the person that was there. And when he had done so or said that to Candace, it was because he came home for lunch for a couple hours. And he when he was there and when he was coming into home, it's when he saw the strange person that he recognized. The strange person being just a general way of saying an unknown person. Janice, do I think Hunter knows something? What I think Hunter knows is the overload or misinformation of all the places that they went to that day. I did a video before I had to go on hiatus, and if anybody wants, I'll be more than happy to make a post on my community page about it. It's a long video. I think it was like 4 hours long, where I went into a lot of information, and John Q had joined me, and we went over map information in that live. Every single thing that they have had done in downtown Kingsport, from Warriors Path Park to picking up Hunter to going to Hippie House to going to Catch 22, and then going to the grocery store and so on and so forth, Walgreens, the hospital. Everything was approximately a 10 to 15-minute trip of each other that day. Up and down one road. Oh, I forgot Sonic being in there. But we never see evidence of Sonic anything in the truck. I think that Hunter can disprove the timeline that Candace tries to put out there. I think that's where Hunter fits the most in this. There's that hour, a golden hour, so to speak, that Hunter is not allowed to speak about. Hunter is not allowed to speak about one particular hour of the day on the 15th. I believe it is actually information Hunter has that disproves what Candace said. Whether you believe it or not, I was in live when this happened on Ziggy's channel. Somebody came into the channel on her actual live part of her panel, spoke to the during the live, and basically said that while Ronnie Lawson can't directly speak of it, there was questions about why it took 4 hours to report Summer missing. And and let me see if I can find this real quick. Give me a moment. Bear with me just a moment, folks. I appreciate your patience with me. I believe it was June 22nd. TBI had a press conference. Bear with me a moment, folks. If I'm working on finding this real quick. The TBI press conference that what I'm trying to point out to you, if I can find it, I'll be more than happy to share it so you can hear it directly. Leslie Earhart said that Summer went missing and was last seen in the early afternoon of June 15th. She went missing in the early afternoon. She was last seen in the early afternoon. But when did anybody call 911? That wasn't until approximately 6:30 p.m. Bear with me one moment first. I'm checking one other location for this a possible video here. Bear with me just a moment. I think I actually may found the video I'm talking about. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and share this. Let me see how I can do this here. I think I found the video. I'm taking the chance that this is the video. This is from Facebook. And I have a cue to just about when Leslie Earhart is about to speak. This is, I believe it was June 25th. But let's listen to what Leslie has to say.
Good afternoon. I'm Leslie Earhart with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. The status is the same as it was on Monday when we last held a media briefing. We're still trying to find Summer. It's now been 1 week and 2 days since she went missing. There's still two aspects of this case, the active search and the investigation. You'll hear more about the search in just a minute. TBI agents and Hawkins County detectives working alongside the FBI continue to work around the clock to determine what happened to Summer Wells. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we can't discuss everything we're doing and have done to find Summer. Here's what we can tell you. Numerous residents and individuals associated with the family have been interviewed. Surveillance video and photos have been reviewed, as well as other potential digital evidence. We're still working to identify everyone in the area on the afternoon that Summer went missing. One of you asked us in a previous briefing the standard amount of time it takes for a case like this to be resolved. While every case is different, this one is definitely outside of the norm. Typically, in an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case is headed and what might have happened within a few days. In this situation, despite doing everything within our power and exploring all avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear. I understand the lack of answers frustrates you and the public, but trust me, no one is more frustrated than we are. If we develop information that will lead to locating Summer, we will share that with you first and foremost. In the meantime, we ask anyone with information who hasn't come forward to please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. I'll turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Thank you. Just to go along with Leslie, I know there's a lot of social media going on out there, a lot of detectives going on, but they're absolutely useless unless these people that's 100% positive calls 1-800-TBI-FIND. That means nothing. We're monitoring all social media and everything that you all put out from people that you all interview. And I assure you, you'd have to work very hard to find somebody that we hadn't talked to. They may not tell you. One point I want to make clear up, obviously, is a couple of days ago, I asked for the public not to help us in our search in the woods and stuff. That is because we know where every searcher is, where every team is, and the captain and his staff, they're tracking everyone. So if we get the general public in the woods, we don't know about it, then they're going to get missed when they go home or don't go home. So it's going to be somebody else that we have to generate time and information and resources to find. What I did ask for, and I still need, is all the people in Upper Beach Creek, Hawkins, and Sullivan County to search their property again and again. You got to look for a small child. You have to look for evidence of a small child's being. And if you got field cameras, if you got security cameras, we need you to check those again. Just keep checking them and checking them. We're trying to find every vehicle is in this holler they're living since we started this. And we also did a roadblock which helped at the same time that she was reported missing to see if we come in contact with somebody that's been working that we could see. Obviously, there's nothing came out of that, but it's just another tool that we've used to make this happen. So if the general public that lives in this area will go back and search their outbuildings, their barns, their hay fields, now it's mowing season, so when they mow, they need to pay attention. And if you have a resident that cannot search their property themselves, if they'll call my office at 423-272-4848, I will send an officer to your residence to search your property for you. It's a cooperation we must need, because I know some of the residents probably getting frustrated with seeing the officers, but as the captain will tell you, we've had very intense operations all week long for 9 days now, and we're not done yet, because like I told you from day one, it's about finding Summer. That's the number one goal here. Yep.
Thanks, Sheriff. As of June 24th, 2021, search and rescue efforts for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells continues. We have now utilized 106 agencies spanning from Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina assisting in these search efforts. Numerous specialized search and rescue groups with numerous canine teams have been represented from each of these agencies. To date, we have covered over 4.6 square miles, with that being over 3,000 acres being searched since Tuesday night when she was reported missing. The rugged mountainous terrain continues to cause problems. This has slowed search operations down in these areas, but please be rest assured, while incurring these conditions, we are still searching with an aggressive approach with extreme attention to detail. These terrains and conditions have exhausted crews both physically and mentally. We are still utilizing local and regional resources, but have had to call upon and utilize resources from Middle and West Tennessee, along with out-of-state resources to bring a fresh set of eyes and rested bodies into the search operations. Search efforts will continue on a more specialized team basis throughout the rest of the week. Just because you may not see us in such a large presence, once again, rest assured, we are still out here searching for Summer Wells. We will continue to work with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, TBI, and FBI until we find Summer Wells. As mentioned before, as Sheriff here mentioned, please continue to search your personal property. Sullivan County, Hawkins County, mainly the Beech Creek community, and even if you branch a little bit further, please search. And I've been telling these searchers here the last several days, when you're looking for this property, you're not looking for adult laying there. You're not looking for adult hiding in the building. We're looking for a 5-year-old girl that weighed approximately 40 pounds. Somebody that size could wad up, could hide in an area that a legal size piece of paper or a folded up laptop could go. This is also the reason why we are exhausting all efforts. This terrain, as you can see behind us, guys, is only a small, very small percentage of what these guys day in and day out are going through. I've had multiple of my guys come up to me and tell me, Captain, I'll go to the end, but I'm tired. I'm physically and I'm mentally tired. We are all one team, and we will not quit until we find Summer Wells. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions.
Have you searched some of these areas over and over again numerous times, some of these fields and things like that?
Absolutely. Captain, can you answer that question?
Yeah, so over these 4.6 square miles, and I'll kind of elaborate on some of these specialized teams. There's some of these areas, guys, we have covered 4, 5, and 6 times. And we have community members, media outlets reaching out going, well, we have neighbors saying you're covering the same ground. We are. New ground, same ground, different eyes, fresh bodies. Guys, one flat looking field, there's 100 places something could be hid, evidence, and or she could be hidden. So yes, we have covered multiple ground multiple times, and we'll continue to do so.
Captain Coop, I know some reward has been talked about. I know your agency, Churchill Rescue Squad, is apparently in charge of that. Can you give us some details on what a reward looks like right now?
Yes, so there has been some people that have reached out to our agency, reached out to TBI and the Sheriff's Department about providing reward money for information leading up to the finding and or recovery of Summer Wells. At this time, I can confirm that is correct and that our agency is working to get this account set up. Once this information is available, our agency will provide a media release with this information on how the general public, can also give money for this. But at the same point in time, guys, we're running on limited resources, and we're trying everything we can do that without interfering with the search for Summer Wells.
Leslie, at this point in the search and investigation, do you believe Summer Wells is still alive?
We hope so, but honestly, we just don't know. I mean, we're holding out hope, doing everything we can. Obviously, we typically would have found a child.
We hope so, but we just don't know. At 9 days, they already had doubts. At 9 days. FBI, TBI, car team, the Secret Service, if it did reach that level that they felt that this was going to potentially involve a minor being trafficked, the Secret Service would have been involved. Statistically, once a child goes missing past 24 hours, realistically, it's past 12 hours, the chances of the child being found alive go downhill extremely quick. They already knew statistically that they were going to be crossing into territory of Elizabeth Smart, of there's another girl, I cannot remember off the top of my head her name, where she was kidnapped. She was kept in a basement and escaped from her captor. There was also the one that was kept in the backyard, in tents in the backyard. Not even like good tents. And we're talking like constructed tents out of tarps. In the minds of the FBI, the TBI, and everything else, they already know in the back of their mind that they're crossing into that territory. If she is going to be alive, this is going to be a long haul to find her. If my chat can come up with the names of the other girl that I was thinking about, or if I'm confusing the stories, I know there's two separate girls that I'm just thinking of, but yep, there's I think the true crime and other stuff, or they were kept in a basement, weren't they? They already know they're crossing into that territory at 9 days. And when they said that they know within the first few days what the direction is going to go, they had already tried to interview both Don and Candace, but could not. Going to go on with what she's saying here. Elizabeth Smart and Carly Trent. Those were the names I was thinking of. Thank you, Miss Carrie. I appreciate you letting me know.
At this stage in the investigation, so honestly, we just don't know.
How many tips has the TBI received so far?
I don't have the exact number with me, but it's well over 300 at this point.
I know we've all spoken with the family and then talked about sort of what led up to that missing incident here. Can you just sort of elaborate on what you guys know for sure happened before she went missing that Tuesday night?
We can't release any more than what we've already provided. We know that she was supposedly with family members outside of her home, was seen going into the home. When her mother went to check on her, she was not in the house.
Sheriff, I know you mentioned before that you haven't had to obtain any search warrants. Is that still the case?
My office has not obtained any search warrants, and I really don't know if the other agencies has. I've been coordinating with the captain here and the investigators. They're all working together, and we haven't briefed each other this afternoon.
What about lie detector tests? Has anybody been given those?
I think she can address this.
Well, it's no secret that the TBI has a polygraph unit. We don't discuss specifics, but I can tell you that we use that as an investigative tool. In a situation like this, we're going to use every resource and tool available to us.
There's been billboards seen in Myrtle Beach. Are you guys aware of that? And has the search taken you guys even out of state to some extent?
We follow up on all leads that come in, even if they're out of state. We have received some tips from other states, but they didn't prove to be credible leads. We are aware of the billboards. That's not something the TBI coordinates, but we appreciate the effort.
Leslie, are cadaver dogs being used as part of the K-9 teams being brought in?
Absolutely, yes.
No law enforcement outside of the house today. Any reason for that?
There's no reason. We have had agents and officers to just touch base with the family on a daily basis. So they were there earlier. The family continues to cooperate at this time. If we have questions, they answer our questions. If we need them to come to the command post to clarify some information, they respond. So they've been very cooperative.
Speaking of the command post, we have noticed some larger FBI presence as well, including like an FBI, I believe it's called a CART team.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just elaborate a little bit on their role in this investigation? What do they do?
They're just another resource available. Now, I would refer you to the FBI for specifics on what that team does, but they specialize in missing children cases. And again, we're using all resources available. They've been here since last weekend, and we were in communication with them before last weekend. So it's just another resource, and we're grateful for any help we can get.
Leslie, now on day 10, do you guys feel like you have more information, better informed than you did on day 1 Tuesday night?
We don't. We still don't know where Summer is. We don't know what happened to her, and it's extremely frustrating. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is. The sheriff has worked around the clock. His team's worked around the clock. The search crews, TBI agents, FBI agents, we're doing everything we can to find her, but to not have any more answers than we do at this stage, it's just heartbreaking.
Have you been able to narrow down the timeline any more than when she was listed?
Not any more than what we originally released. We know that her family reported her missing. They called the sheriff's office around 6:30. Prior to that, it was early afternoon when she was last seen, and they searched for a little bit and then reported her missing.
How many hours would you say?
I don't have that information.
Question for Captain or Sheriff, what's the biggest obstacle?
And there it is. Leslie Earnhardt just said she was seen in the early afternoon. Her family went searching, and then after searching for a while, called the police. Now I'm going to take you over to another another a press conference. Bear with me a moment. I'm just going to be getting a link to this in another second or two, I believe. Bear with me a moment. I apologize. Okay, so this is a press conference that was actually from June 16th. That I'm going to share with you guys.
Out of her home in the 100 statewide Amber Alert. She was last seen outside of her home in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road, which is located in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. A family member reported her missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at approximately 6:30 Tuesday evening. At the time she went missing, Summer was reportedly wearing a gray pants and a pink shirt. She is believed to be barefoot. We do want to encourage the public, especially residents living in the area of Ben Hill Road, to check any trail cameras or security cameras that they might have that could have captured Summer on video or in photographs. We also encourage residents to check any crawl spaces, outbuildings, or sheds that would make for good hiding places. As we mentioned, the search is ongoing. There are a number of agencies involved. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson to talk more about the search and the conditions that authorities are up against. Sheriff.
Thank you. It's been a very intense 21 hours. A lot of searching, a lot of investigation by 19 different agencies. Last night, we had approximately 60 to 80 people searching in the woods, with a number of law enforcement officers doing the investigation also. Today, we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI and the FBI assisting my office. We're jointly investigating this whole circumstance. Our main goal is to find Summer and find her safe. We have plenty of help. We don't need any assistance from the local people. We have the professional people out searching, and we just appreciate everybody, their contributions. There's been a tremendous outpour from the community with the water, the food, and the snacks. It's just overwhelming, and it's a very intense investigation. I know the public needs to know things, but it's ongoing, and we will release things as we can when we can. And our main goal right now is to find Summer.
We'll take a couple of questions, but keep in mind we can't discuss specifics of the investigation.
Absolutely. It's very dense. The terrain is tremendously hard. We have virtually no cell phone service. The radio system we use, which is not that good, we have very little radio communication. We do have several command posts setting up, But it's what makes it so hard is the communication between the boots on the ground, searching the woods, and the different agencies and officers, and it's very hard to communicate. And we're not like we're in these small towns or in towns where you got a lot of cell service, and just for instance, when we get texts from the media, you may text, we may get it an hour later, and we have no way to reply to it. And the same way with the officers, and the ECOM Central Dispatch has done an excellent job. TBI as their command post. It should arrive soon, and we're going to continue on until we find Summer and put this case to rest.
Do you believe there was foul play involved, and is there any history with this family?
The family are cooperating, and it's really too early to tell. We're still basically gathering information, and we're in the search mode right now.
Around 11 this morning, it's switched from missing child alert to an Amber Alert. What goes into the decision of putting that Amber Alert out and by the different?
Sure. After the initial search and as we developed more information as part of the investigation, our team made the decision to elevate the alert to an Amber.
And what's the difference between those two alerts?
An endangered child alert is a mid-level alert where a child could potentially be in danger. An Amber Alert is, we issue those when we believe a child is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death, and it's the most severe alert.
It appeared to be that she walked away from her home. Why was it upgraded to an Amber Alert? Clarify that a little bit more.
Well, the bottom line is we don't know where she is at this time. Again, there was the initial search. We acted, and the sheriff's office acted on the information available at the time. And as we learned more in the first several hours into today, it led us to issue an Amber Alert.
Well, when the Amber Alert was issued, you said there was new information that led you to believe that Summer might be in more danger. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can't. That's part of the investigation.
Sheriff Paulson mentioned earlier that he's asking folks that you have enough resources here. What's your message to the community that they feel like they want to help in some regard? How can they help in this time?
If they see something or know something, they need to tell somebody. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to get involved. They want to reply to us, respond anonymously. That's fine. As long as we find Summer, that's the main thing right now. And we're talking about the Amber Alert. If they raise that up another level, that helps more people paying more attention. You get more clues, you get more calls, and then everybody can call that 1-800-TBI-FIND, and it all goes into a database, which helps us in an area where we don't have a lot of communication anyway. So TBI helps us with that.
And we know the FBI was called in fairly early. Can you kind of explain why that decision was made?
Well, we have an excellent relationship working together, and just like if this case stems outside of Hawkins County, then you have the TBI to help with that. But if it expands on out past the state of Tennessee, then you got the FBI. So we're all on the same page, and we just keep on going. We're just working together as a team. All have the same goal. Let's find Summer.
One more question.
Can you expand on maybe just the area where you guys are searching? If people see something in a certain area, they should be on a heightened alert for that certain area or what it's out.
Well, the train and stuff is just like you see here. This is what people are searching in. But if they seen something yesterday evening or afternoon that we need to know, that's when they need to make the call or come by the command post.
Kind of landmarks and sort of an area you're searching.
Just around Ben Hill Road in that area. That's the main, because she's 5 years old and she left the house. And evidently she got a little farther than they expected.
Do you have any idea how much territory your volunteers and searchers are covering?
A lot. We have so many out there that they've broadened the scope. Plus, we've been able to utilize aircraft. THP's been wonderful with their helicopter and the medical helicopters with THP's flare at night. They've been flying today, and it's just outstanding how the community's come to help us, plus all the different resource agencies and the rescue squads and EMSs and all the law enforcement. And we just hope that we have a great result when we find Summer.
Have you gotten any news?
At this time, we're following up on any and all leads. Again, thank you for being here. We encourage the public to call in any credible information to 1-800-TBI-FINE, and we continue to hold out hope for the best possible outcome. Thank you.
And there you have it, folks. That's the press conference that happened on June 16th. And prior to that, we played the press conference from June 22nd. In those 9 days, they attempted to question, so to speak, interview the parents. The parents themselves say that they could not be interviewed because they were so grief-stricken. But the truth of the matter always was that they couldn't interview them and put them on a polygraph because of their addictions. They had to let them dry out some before they could do so. They had to wait at least 3 days, 72 hours, since they either last touched a bottle or their choice of addiction other than a bottle, for their blood work to come back in a way that it would not be deceptive to a I see the machine. I just can't think of the machine's name. I apologize. A truth detector. Lie detector, rather. No. Nobody knows. In later interviews, Ronnie Lawson says that they believe it was a professional person, a professional used vehicle that was going down Ben Hill Road that may have seen something that they inadvertently did not realize. That being said, they don't believe that this particular person was anything but a material witness, that they didn't know they were a material witness. And they never have found that person. It's a shame. Because Summer Wells, yes, Carrie, exactly. They believe it was a company vehicle of some kind. They believe it could have seen the truck. So I'm saying they don't believe that particular person had anything to do with Summer Wells' disappearance. It's more of it being a material witness and witnessing something that they don't realize they witnessed. The point of all this is that in 11 days, folks, it's going to be 21 months. Miriam, yes, this is where the rumor, and this is truly a rumor, that they're trying to make this into being similar to Athena, the little girl from Texas. That they're trying to make this out to be the same exact thing that happened to Athena, that a FedEx truck or a UPS truck had seen her and picked her up. That is not at all what they're saying in this, though. They're saying that this a professional truck person, the driver of a professional truck, was a witness. No, Bailey, that's not hearsay. That's true. That's actually a company vehicle that they use for their own employees, not subcontractors. That if their vehicle, if they're going to be going to a location, let's say outside past Knoxville, Greenville, that their employee will be able to use that red truck instead of having to put the mileage on their personal vehicle. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. True crimes and other stuff. Her name was Athena Strand. Yep, exactly. LE from very early on was very well aware of the company vehicle and the person that was driving that day. And when they say they have not excluded anybody, they have, and I don't know which press conference it was, but so you unfortunately you're going to have to take my word on it for the moment, and I will come up with the video at another time. But they have said within a 5-mile radius of Ben Hill Road, they have not excluded anybody. Cosplay, I completely understand. Your family actually had a big event tonight. A couple of things going on. I appreciate you being here and paying and giving us as much attention as you possibly could have. Right, Marion. Yeah. See, that's the thing is that there's a lot of little details that have gone under the radar. A lot of little details that have gone under the radar that people are not picking up or never did pick up. But Ronnie Lawson, I believe, is the person that said that, and I will back it up in a future live that I do. I don't know what video is off the top of my head. It's going to take me a little bit to find it. I will get that video, and we will go over that where he mentions about a 5-mile radius. The point of all this is that 11 days, it will be 21 months. And Summer's still missing. And we're still getting misinformation from Don Wells, her dad, from Candace Wells, her mom. We're still getting misinformation from them. We're still getting information that contradicts what each other are saying. It's not fair to Summer. It's not fair to Summer that when her own parents cannot provide an answer, but only provide more questions. I started off tonight when I was talking about Daisy's channel, Crazy Crime and Critters or something like that. I can never remember the channel's name. And I said I was going to promise that I was not attacking her, that I did want to give her an opportunity to talk about something that happened on her channel last night. That open invitation will still remain. I seriously hope that Daisy wakes up and realizes that not only the Wells are misleading her, but some of the people that she trusts to be absolutely truthful and be on her panel are also misguiding her. When somebody goes on there and says, and this is something I wanted to make a big point of, I did go to college. I love studying sociology. I love studying public speaking. I cannot remember if it's a sociology theory or a public speaking theory, or it maybe even come from psychology. I was talking about this earlier today. That the dialect that some people are using when they're going out and giving information, they're using what is called cab speech or cabbie speech or taxi cab driver speech. When a person does this, and I will explain what that taxi cab driver speech is in a moment. When a person does this, it is then that you should least count on what they're saying. When a person starts to say, I researched this so you don't have to. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I have the answers that nobody else has. It's then you need to question what they say, not twice, not 3 times. Question them 4 times or more about what they're saying. Research it yourself. You're welcome to research anything and everything I've said tonight. Some of the information I did give you is as a local, so it's going to be difficult to find unless you are from the Kingsport area. But I stick my neck out there and will tell you that when I told you about why Don Wells used the Subaru, early on was discussed by almost every single creator that contacted Summer Wells or covered Summer Wells. And at one point, everybody did come up and did say the same thing and have gotten away from that. Daisy, if you are listening or do hear this at some point, be very careful. The people that you're entrusting are damaging you more than you understand. Ladies and gentlemen, it is almost 10:30 at night, or just after 10:30 at night now. It's actually going on 11:15. Miss Daisy, I hope I can be a friend of your channel because I don't want to see what happened to your channel happen to become what happened of what Voices of Behind the Wall was. For a very long time, it was tarnished. Miss Justice, I don't think anybody took it any other way but that you were speaking of the Wells. I think I've seen your name in chat rooms, John Q, and a few other chat rooms that it's since almost the beginning when I started, before I started having my own channel. Marion, that's exactly what I strive to be every single time I come on. And when I come on, I'm tried my best to make sure the information I'm giving you is rock solid. My two mods that I have, if I didn't give you that information that it was rock solid on it, even though I do mix my opinion into this, they would be the first ones to call me out on it. And they would do so quickly. As I was just saying a moment ago, folks, it's 11:15. As I like to end every stream, do you know where your kids are? If you do, give them an extra hug. Make sure they know you love them. I never want to end up having to talk about more missing kids. Make sure that your kids know you love them and that you're there for them. Well, Marion, I'll make an exception and say good afternoon to you, but to everybody else, since it is 11:15 at night, I am actually getting tired. It's time for me to say good night, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. Until we meet again, I want to thank you for coming out. To my replay crew, for those who do end up watching this on a replay, I do look forward to your comments in the chat and corresponding with you through the comments. But my name is RJ, and I'm out.